without further ado, Michael Gorky on the J.E.N camp.
Thank you. So thank you all very much for being here this afternoon. I'm going to try to get through the first part of my presentation relatively quickly because I have some video excerpts that I really want to show that are great teaching examples. So I think with this crowd, I can skip background about who Jamie Aebersold is. But I do want to point everybody to an in-press article. If you're a member of JRME, it's available online currently. And this is an article by Matt Diebold. And it's a historical study about Jamie developing the Play Along series, and it's a great read. I encourage everybody to look at that. And he also has a lot of really interesting PDFs and archival materials to share. Yeah, but I will tell you about the workshop because maybe not everybody has been to the workshop or experienced the workshop. So it's been held annually for more than 40 years now, and it has been happening at the University of Louisville. And it happens in 2 one-week sessions, and there are rhythm section weekends on the beginning and the middle and the end of each one-week session. Each session has about 300 to 400 students who are participating, and there are about 50 faculty members. The student ability ranges from beginner to quite advanced, and the ages of campers range from typically middle school students to retired adults. The camps also attract an international student body. So when you arrive on Sunday evening, you take a theory placement test and you play an audition. And the auditions are used to place students in theory classes and in combos. You're typically placed in a combo with 7 to 10 other students with similar improvisation abilities. And the combos are the core instructional vehicle for the week. They rehearse twice a day, longer rehearsal in the morning than in the afternoon. There's a concert on Friday, and working toward the concert is what's driving instruction during the week. Here's the schedule. You can see where the morning combo rehearsal is at 11. You can see where the afternoon combo rehearsal is at 3:30. You can also see that it is a fully immersive, packed day. Concerts at lunch, concerts at dinner, concerts in the evening, jam sessions. It's again, very immersive experience for students. So in my methodology, Jamie was my gatekeeper. I sent an email to Jamie explaining what I wanted to do, and he gave me permission to attend the workshop, video record some combo rehearsals. He got me in touch with some of his administrative staff. They were also very helpful in getting me started by providing, as soon as the results were put together and combos were formed, I got a list of the combos, what faculty had been assigned to them, where they were going to be rehearsing, what times, those kinds of things. Tom Walsh was extremely helpful with me on Sunday evening. We sat down and looked at the results, and he was able to recommend faculty members that he thought would be good participants for me to recruit for the study. And he had the insight to be able to tell from the way that the database was laid out what combos were beginning level combos, what combos were intermediate level, and what combos were advanced students. So I was also able to really kind of stratify what the ability levels that I was including as well. Here are the 15 faculty participants that I recruited whose rehearsals I observed during the week. You'll see that on the list are, this is based off of their faculty bios on the workshop website, whether they identified as a professional musician or primarily as a university faculty person. Of course, there's a tremendous overlap in those things. Everybody performs and records and everybody teaches. But with this list, I had 6 professional musicians and 9 university faculty. So my research questions were, what are the commonalities of the approaches of these coaches in the rehearsals? What instructional targets do they work on, and with what frequency? And what are the distributions of time of talking and playing in the rehearsals? And then are there differences in these things among the levels? So I recorded 2 combos during each rehearsal period. I had 2 sets of equipment, and that allowed me to collect about 20 hours of rehearsal. I took field notes both live when I was there, and then of course working with the videos at home. I transcribed all of the rehearsals, and then I organized everything into a running record. And I used the combo coach's verbalizations, just the transcript part, to identify what the targets were and to kind of organize the counting, frequency counting, instructional content there. From the field notes, I can tell you, this might sound like straight out of the Journal of Duh, but the repertoire selected matched the ability level of the student groups. Also, the repertoire selections that each coach brought were selected to cover a variety of styles, tempos, meters, etc., etc. And as you can imagine, the selection of the repertoire really is the curriculum for the week, right? So if you don't do a rhythm changes tune, there's not any rhythm changes that week. If you only do blues tunes, it's only blues that week, right? So there's a balance of selections. Again, straight out of the Journal of Duh. They wanted to improve solos and comping. Now this is important to point out, because in all other rehearsal research, particularly in band, orchestra, and choir, the rehearsal targets are ensemble-oriented targets, right notes and right rhythms as interpreted by the conductor, realizing printed notation and all of the problems that brings. Expectations for the student performances were clear and drove the instruction. The rehearsals developed skills that were to be on display later that week. Concurrent feedback to students as they were soloing was another common observation, as was modeling. Student questions and some of their own comments also drove the instruction. And there was a lot of encouragement of transfer of skills from previous repertoire covered earlier in the week to the stuff they're working on now. Individual feedback was specific, and it was directed at improving the improvised solos and the accompaniments. Here's a little bit about how the hours and 90-minute rehearsals were organized. They tended to follow a format of previewing what the goals were for the session right now, and then rehearsals tended to close with a review and a preview, often with a listening assignment for what they were going to work on next time. A lot of the instructional content was for immediate use, but plenty of it was also long-term and aspirational, meaning this goal is not necessarily achievable right now, but we're going to work on it, and then you're going to continue to work on it later in life. So in the 60-minute rehearsals, there tended to be 2 pieces. In the 90-minute rehearsals, there tended to be 3 or 4 pieces. Typically, the way things went was a 5-minute discussion of the arrangement, who's going to play the head, who's going to play the first solo, how many choruses to take, that kind of stuff. And then the playthrough might last 7 to 10 minutes, oftentimes interrupted, sometimes straight down, and then would conclude with a discussion of how things went with a lot of feedback. Here's the list of what they tended to work on. So the most important thing, most frequently addressed thing, was solo building. Solo building included the use of all musical elements for expressive means. So it wasn't just pitch and rhythms, but it did include jazz vocabulary, licks, the New Orleans freak sounds, rhythmic variety, sequencing, things like that. The second thing was protocol, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. Notice that that was the most frequent in the intermediate group, more so than the advanced group or the beginning group. Protocol was just how to do a gig, how to trade fours, how to do the 3 times and we're done, how to do nonverbal signaling among the combo. Scale chord theory was important. Style and groove was also, notice that was most frequently observed with the beginning group. That included articulation and subdivision, how to swing, things like that. And then, I don't know that you can see this on the slide, but way down at the very bottom, yeah, it's blacked out, is reading accuracy. And it was infrequent and sometimes not even observed. And again, it's important to point that out because that's the most important thing in band rehearsing, and it's the least important thing in jazz combo rehearsing. Real quick here, I want to get to my videos. The distribution of time and playing was similar to other research. Other research falls anywhere from about 50-50 to about 60-40, either way, of playing and talking. One thing that was different, though, was the advanced combos was closer to 50-50, and the intermediate and beginning combos were closer to 60-40. That also kind of mirrors what you see when you look at beginning band instruction versus high school band rehearsing. The pacing differed a little bit. The advanced and the intermediate group had longer playing durations and less frequent instructional targets, while the beginning group had shorter playing durations and they had more frequent instructional targets. Solo building, again, was the most frequent category overall. It's important to get that that's a very individualized target. It's not a group target, so individual instruction was the top priority. Improvisation here was the top priority. Protocol was the second most frequently observed thing. It was the most frequent for the intermediate group. However, it was the least frequent among the beginning group. The beginning group also falls into the category of the record combos. They're playing with, it's not a full rhythm section, they're playing with play along recordings. Technique was more frequent with beginning groups and not observed necessarily with advanced groups. Reading accuracy, pitch and rhythm, least frequent. Let me get to my video examples. I see a couple of my participants in the audience. Thanks for being here. Jim Carroll, this is a fantastic excerpt. He's working with a beginning group, and what the target here is style and groove. He's trying to get them to swing and to work out their articulation a little bit. That video makes me smile. I had so much fun working with all of these, and there's just so much joy in the sound and in his teaching. Next excerpt I want to show you is Hunt Butler. This is Hunt working with the target here is scale chord theory, and he's working with a beginning group here again. Now, what they've been doing is playing scales through Blue Bossa, and now it's time to improvise. And there are a couple of moments where you'll see a scaffolding technique where he's trying to help the student to keep their place in the progression. And then there's also some concurrent feedback where he's encouraging and making some corrections as students are improvising. So you see there a moment where he gets the student to play, smoother, more connected, and so it's not just about pitches and rhythms. Let's see, Pat Harbison. This is a great excerpt. This is Pat doing a making the changes example. They're working on Perdido, and students had been just kind of covering those changes and missing the opportunity to do a 5/2. And so he talks a little bit about that and then shows them how to do it.
Okay, so now I'm going to play still in B flat, but every time I come to that G7, like at the end of the fourth bar and the eighth bar, I'm just going to, what's the most important of the chord? The third. So the third of that G7 is natural, and it's just one note. Otherwise, I'm going to play some flats. But when I get there, I'm going to play the G7. Like a lot of times, that's all you 1, 2, 5, actually like at Berkeley, like,
So you can see big difference in the kind of the beginning level instruction and advanced level instruction there. Here's another great one. So this is Tim Armacost working with another intermediate group, and remember from the table of what they're working on, protocol is one of the things that the intermediate group was working on that the other groups weren't working on as much, and this is an example of that. So Tim is demonstrating how to start a tune, and this tune is Misty, and so rather than counting off the rhythm section, he demonstrates a couple of ways to set the tempo, bring the rhythm section in, go on with the tune. And then he demonstrates, talks through it, and then has a student try. I'm going to show a shortened version of all that, but then I'll tell you after this demonstration, he let a couple of other students continue on.
So you'll hear a lot of saxophone start. And I just waited for the rhythm section to come in. And if I do that, then there's no message about where the time is for you. And what almost always happens when the saxophone player doesn't take care of business is it's too slow. It almost always winds up being too slow. So what I want to do is find the tempo, saying, okay, find the tempo in myself. Sorry, that's it. Yeah, and if I'm starting all by myself, I want to articulate. I want to find the time for myself. So, I want to be clear. I want to hear it myself before I play. I want to communicate where the time is. I have to play long enough. I have to commit to it enough that I make that in time. Hear how I say, I said for this first. Right? You're a tempo we don't know these. Okay? Show me where you're recording. It doesn't have to be the same. Show me your foot or your hand where you're tempo. No.
And let me get to one last one before I run out of time here. So another intermediate group. One more. This is from the advanced level group. I think this is the second top combo at the workshop. This is Eric Alexander. They're working on Olio. They're playing Olio from memory. It's a rhythm changes tune, and he's trying to get them to play with a little more vocabulary. There's a little bit of admonishment for not having applied what they've been working on to this read through. And he's trying to get them to, they're working with some substitute harmonies for the bridge. And so he's really trying to get them to outline these more advanced harmonies. Let me also say that taken out of context here, just jumping right in, let me assure you Eric has great rapport with these students there, because he does get a little heavy at the top, but you can tell that everybody's having a good time.
You guys are starting to, I'm not stopping, because one of the great joys of virtually everybody just abandoned all the things we talked about. It actually sounded worse to me, so I'm sorry. Yeah, because nobody played any change. Just because the note you played fits in the chord change, that doesn't mean playing. I won't say it doesn't mean. If you play now, if I say I'm going to play these changes, how can I play these changes and mean in such a way that you know what I'm doing? Well, it's bone crunching and easy answer. Need some jazz, so if I decide to go. Which one am I playing? You guys tell me which one I'm playing, which bridge. Four. Got it. Which one am I playing now? Nope. 1, 2, 3. Listen carefully. Well, that's tricky. And you know, that's impossible to guess. That was 5. Oh, yeah. Now which one am I playing? One. Now, let's test this with you guys. Show me play one. Guess what you play. This is how you should be soloing. Play one. Yeah. We're going to try to see if we know what you're playing. One. Keep going. Play another one. Good job. That would either be 2 or 5. We don't know. So that was perfect pitch. Yeah, good. Okay. Now, maybe you feel bad about that. Oh, I just played something so simple as you. No, that's what it's supposed to be like. You should be, when you're a soloist, you should be the drums, the bass, piano, and the guitar, and everything else, and the dinosaur bomb, and the KFC, all at once. Walk by the practice room, you're practicing a tune, I should be able to say, oh, that's Louise practicing, and you're on the sweet way. That's how clear you want to be able to play. If you can't do that, you'll never be able to play it another way. You have to know the rules before you can break them. If you don't know what the rules are, how do you even be relevant?
Well said. So just to kind of summarize everything here, combo coaching is a little bit different than ensemble rehearsing. Particularly band orchestra choir rehearsing, but even really different from jazz ensemble rehearsing. The ensemble issues aren't as important in combo setting, where emphasis on improvisation and solo building and developing good accompaniment tend to be the instructional goals. Repertoire selection, selecting repertoire that allows the teachers to kind of pursue appropriate level content with each different age level. And then also just how age level and experience level influences pacing and how much talking and playing happen. So hope this was helpful to you. Thank you very much.